Oh. So, good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. If not, please write on the chat. My name is Petros Eliopoulos, and I'm the host of our workshop from Ελληνογερμανική Αγωγή. I'm a musician and a researcher in the Ελληνογερμανική Αγωγή Research and Development Department. I would request everyone, please shut down your microphones as you don't, if you don't speak. I now listen to myself. Someone has opened their mic. So, okay, that's better. Allow me just to remind you that this is an English-speaking session, and therefore we'll need to be communicating in English. And so please write your comments in English, and please comment in English for that. And let me just start by introducing our co-host for this session. So as I said, my name is Petros Eliopoulos, and I'm a musician and a researcher from Ελληνογερμανική Αγωγή, and I represent Ελληνογερμανική Αγωγή as one of the partners in the Erasmus Plus Next Step project. Manela, would you like to say a few things about you and Science View?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Menela Sotiriou, representing SciView and a partner in this the next step. For now, I just want to welcome you and thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us. Presenting our approaches.
Thank you, Manela. Allow me also to introduce Dr. Rosa Doran from Portugal, who is here with us, also representing Nucleo. Rosa?
Good morning, everyone. Actually, I have the privilege to be also in Greece, but not in the same place as Petros and Menelaos. And it's my privilege to be here. I am here in representation of Nucleo, that is the Portuguese partner in Next Step, and I will also be sharing a few ideas with you.
Thank you, Rosa. Well, in our session, we will try to introduce you to our project, which is called Next Step, its features, and the whole approach that we are just starting to implement, which will be based in former projects that we have already collaborated in. But we will try to start building up on all the outcomes that valuable outcomes that we have already accomplished. So we will try to present all these details to you, and maybe even for a few minutes we could introduce some kind of interaction, if you wish, along with our presentations. And therefore we wish you to please write comments or ask questions, and whenever asked to do so, please ask questions so that we can keep on talking and solving any of your inquiries. So without further hesitations, allow me to pass the floor to Menelaos. Before that, let me just say that about hopefully before before 10 o'clock CET, we will be having only a 4 to 5 minutes coffee break, and which will allow us to go on to our next hour. So, thank you, and Melenos, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Petros. I just turned off my camera just to make sure that it will be a good connection. If there are any issues concerning you cannot hear me, just write or open your mic and tell me. Okay.
Μου πεις ότι δηλαδή εντάξει, εγώ θα το πω αυτό. Με συγχωρείτε.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, very well.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to make an introduction actually to the approach that we will try to implement in the project, and especially in the next, let's say, few months. This is an Erasmus Plus project. We call it Next Step, and actually it is a next step for STEAM education. So we tried up to now to develop what we have proposed in a more concrete way, and try to make it as much as possible, let's say, realistic for schools to start their adventure in implementing activities in the specific under the specific framework that and approach that we are proposing. As Petros said, as we are developing this and we are proposing this, your comments, your feedback at this stage of the project, it will be very, very valuable. And our approach actually, it is somehow a co-creative, if I could say so, approach. So we would like you also to propose, of course, with your experiences as educators, in order to make it much more realistic to be implemented within schools. Very shortly, the aims of the project is actually to approach and to propose a whole school approach for. And in this direction, we would like to connect actually STEM with art, so to have this STEAM approach in an interdisciplinary way, in order to propose something that could connect all these disciplines that are included in STEAM: science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and of course art. To do so, we are trying to propose something that will be able to facilitate these connections and interconnections. That's why we are proposing the approach of the STEAM Ideas Square that you will hear in a few minutes, but also you will have somehow the opportunity to experience a bit what we are proposing in the next sessions. In order this, let's say, area, the STEAM Idea Square, to facilitate and bring together people from different disciplines to work under common projects, and of course contribute from their field in this common project. The partners are coming from 4 countries, Norway, Greece, Portugal, and Ireland. You can see here the coordinator is from Norway. It is the Western Norway University of Applied Sciences. It is Science View and Ελληνογερμανική from Greece. Nucleo from Portugal, that we have the representative here with us, Rosa, and Dundalk Institute of Technology from Ireland. We are the results that we are expecting actually is to bring this STEAM Idea Square, this approach, into a certain operation level. Of course, if someone or all of you know, let's say, a bit the are not so, let's say, big projects in a sense of making a lot of activities, but limited, let's say, activities. But still we are at the beginning, so we will test these approaches with schools in these 4 countries. Of course, it is not forbidden, let's say, to participate schools from other countries, but our aim is to focus in these 4 countries that partners coming from, in order to test in a specific number of schools this approach. Of course, operating this STEAM Idea Square, we are going to operate it in a way in order to develop to the participants, teachers and students, and foster the 21st century skills, and mainly teamwork, creativity, entrepreneurship, ICT skills, critical thinking, but also emotional intelligence. As I told you, we have in our plans to involve a certain numbers of countries, but it is not limited to these numbers. That's why we have set a first, let's say, target to involve at least 10 teachers, of course, and educators. Of course, we are hoping that we will attract the interest of more, so everyone could be involved in order to get familiar with this approach and give us also their feedback. But the main target is to work in a more, let's say, intensive way with at least 10 teachers and educators from these countries. And how we are going to do that is to involve them in certain activities, workshops at the beginning in order to introduce this approach, and then some intensive courses in next summer, a summer school, in order to get more familiar with the approach. So the first thing is that we have already drafted a framework in order to empower schools to design a more desirable and sustainable future. In order to give, let's say, our approaches, explain our approaches on how to implement all the needed activities, integrating art elements and art approaches like visual arts, performing arts, design, music, and all the forms of arts into STEM. There are three main elements in this framework, pillars as we name them. We would like to specifically explain the features that this STEAM Idea Square will have. We are now in this procedure, finalizing the features, the characteristics that this STEAM Ideas Square will have, to explain the framework, that it will be a competence-based framework, and of course to propose some strategies
Menela, can you please unmute your mic? Thank you.
Okay, so I was saying that along with the competence-based framework, we are going to provide specific strategies on how someone can implement activities that also we are going to provide as proposals. Of course, this is up to the participants of these activities to take the proposed activities as such and start implementing, but also adapt them to their needs, or maybe propose some of their own, following, of course, the approach. The STEAM Ideas Square, in the STEAM Ideas Square, we would like to involve stakeholders, as we name them, with a main, let's say, the central point will be the school as a hub that will connect several other stakeholders around the school and within the local or broader community, national community or international community, so to involve stakeholders that could contribute and support the school in their activities. And you can see some of the stakeholders that we have already identified, like public authorities, of course, parents, research institutions or science museums, maybe industrial partners that could contribute in certain activities according to the project that the school will select to realize. And of course, creative industry, art organizations to add this component of art in the STEAM Ideas Square. This approach, actually the STEAM Ideas Square, actually it will be a place, a facility, a meeting place that should be organized within the school. It could be, of course, physically, it could be realized physically, but also virtually. We will have these opportunities during the project. And the main idea is to bring all these stakeholders together to work in under a common project that they will decide, and maybe starting from students and teachers, or having, let's say, taking opportunities to give solutions, the students and the teachers, around the community issues, the local community issues that they are facing. That's why we are proposing a 4-step approach within this STEAM Ideas Square, that is following the design thinking approach. And these 4 steps are the feel, imagine, create, and share, in order the participants to feel and start working with a specific issue, feel societal needs, maybe local needs, to explore and imagine specific solutions that they might want to bring into the discussion, create, so develop a specific solution and work with all the ideas and decide how they are going to solve or to manage the issue that they are facing. And of course, after that, to share it with the rest of the community, either the school community, the local community, national or international community, depending on the project. We are going to experience these 4 steps with Rosa's help in the session to come. What we would like to achieve from the educators, for the educators and the students, is that we would like to develop key competencies following the lifelong learning based competencies from the European country. These are the main competencies that we are focusing, and we believe that through this operation of the STEAM Ideas Square will be developed, and also focusing in some elements of the deeper learning competencies. As you probably know, maybe better than me, we have different types of schools depending on maybe the location, maybe the infrastructures that these schools have. Also, we are also depends on the educational strategies that each country might have. So we would like to approach as much as possible all the school community. That's why we would like to focus in 4, let's say, levels of schools, without saying that, not to be misunderstood, not saying that they are not doing very well, but depending on their status, along with this and some other criteria that already referred to, we would like to emphasize in these 4 levels of schools in order to help them improve and achieve the operation of the STEAM Ideas Square, and in order to be able, according to their characteristics, to implement the proposed activities. That's why we have, for instance, schools that they might not have already integrate STEAM activities or even STEM activities. So we would like to approach them in a different way, proposing specific strategies and proposing, let's say, specific activities that they could follow in order to start working with these activities and achieve to have STEAM approaches in their education. So in each one of these categories that we will have of schools, we are going to propose a specific strategy that we believe they need to follow in order to start working and start improving themselves, improving concerning the STEAM activities that they are going to implement. So, for instance, an enabled, as we call it right now, school might have the vision and the willingness to start working with STEAM, but they do not have, for instance, infrastructures, or the teachers are not participating in many professional development activities, so they need more training, and they have not started working with stakeholders from the local community. So we are going to approach them in a way in order to introduce this kind of approaches in their day-to-day schedule. On the other side, we might have advanced schools that we mean that these schools would have already activities in STEAM with STEAM approaches. They are very well communicate with local communities, stakeholders. They are working with them. They are implementing a lot of projects. So we are going to approach them in a different way, but still we would like at the end to have a network of schools that could work together, even if it is in an enabled, let's say, status or in advanced status, so to cooperate with each other and exchange knowledge, exchange practices, and start working in order to improve themselves or to keep improving themselves. So the STEAM Ideas Square on how to operate is, as I told you, with the main approaches with this 4-step approach, the feel, imagine, create, share, trying to combine all the elements of the STEAM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, arts, entrepreneurship in a way, in an interdisciplinary way. That means that we need activities that will have all the components while they are realizing their projects within the school. And this is, of course, the difficult thing. Maybe you know better than me that right now there are few or maybe none schools that really approaching this with that let's say, implementation approach, mixing all the elements. There are many, many schools that they are doing very good work involving science, technology, mathematics, or maybe science and art, or maybe science, technology, art, engineering. But having all this in an interdisciplinary way, it is difficult right now to do. So, of course, it is difficult, let's say, to approach it, but we believe that with this STEAM Idea Square approach, it will facilitate all this. I'm not going to stay much more on this. I don't want to spend more time of the workshop with all these activities, but just to let's say, present you how we are going to implement this with the schools that are going to be involved. So the STEAM Ideas Square operation, it will be like a school journey that will start with realizing the status of the school according to the levels that I told you, I already present. So the school should, let's say, assess themselves and realize the status that belongs. According to this status, we are going to provide strategies, activities, support in order to start implementing and operating the STEAM Ideas Square. So they are going to get a specific report and specific strategies and activities, proposed activities, that they will start realizing them within this STEAM Ideas Square. And after a specific time that we are proposing to be a school year, will measure their status again in order to see how they were improved or not, and recommend again strategies and activities that they should keep implementing. And this could be a circle that could be realized each year in order to improve themselves and realizing more and more STEAM activities. So for this, we are organizing, as I told you, already some workshops. The next workshop, a training workshop, will be realized between the 6th and 8th of December within an international conference named STEAM Approach in Science Education. You can find more information there, and the specific date and time for the workshop will be announced. If you follow the conference website page, will be announced shortly. There is going to be a 5-day summer school in next July in Greece, in Marathon, where we are going to spend 5 days of implementing activities and more practical, let's say, activities that we will prepare for the participants. And of course, there are going to be support from the partners of the program, of the project, in the countries that are participating, but also we could support teachers, educators, or interested persons that would like to realize activities along this approach, following this approach from other countries. We are focusing right now, as I told you at the beginning, in these 4 countries, but you can find the persons that you can contact in this link in the website of the project. Of course, there are going to be support materials, support activities through the website of the project in order to facilitate someone to take the needed I would like to thank you for your attention. You can follow us on Facebook. You can visit our website that will be updated continuously in order to get more information. And of course, any questions that you have right now, we can try to answer them.
Thank you very much, Menele. Are there any questions? I understand that this might be a lot of information for you right now, but it's crucial, as we say at this point, that we need your feedback and your ideas on the things that you just heard. It will be very fruitful if you have any questions or any ideas on the things that you have said. Please feel free to speak, at least for a few minutes before we go on. I see also that we have, yes, we will share the links, Mrs. Saribu. And of course, a large part of what we will present you today will be available also on our website as the project progresses. But more on that, we will be very happy to speak with you directly and have a communication with you over the internet.
I would love to hear them say if, from what Menelaus presented, if what they think, if it is something that they would be willing to introduce in school, if it is too demanding, if it is too outside of the comfort zone. So what's the feeling, the general feeling that the teachers participating here have so far from what was presented? I know we have a very quiet audience here. Maybe everybody's still sleeping for a beautiful, well, actually here it's starting to rain, but make sure you can share your initial thoughts on what was presented so we know if we are going to the right direction.
Maybe I could pose a question just for anyone who would like to ask. Is there anyone that is willing to implement STEAM activities in their classroom, or do you already have implemented activities involving STEAM in your classroom?
Is anyone alive out there? Say yes if you are alive and kicking, so we know that you are there. Okay, we have some people alive.
Okay,
Petros,
yes.
we're not
We
alone
have some
here.
response. Okay, we would like you to, thank you. We would like you to interact with us. I know that up to now this has been somehow very theoretical, but we need your feedback on that. So let us modify a little bit our schedule before the lunch, before this very small coffee break. Allow me just to modify a little bit our schedule. I will present you some examples on the things that you have already presented. And hopefully after the break, we will have the opportunity to have some, I will ask you to make some clicks on your computer. And after that, we will have much time either by Mr. Soteriou to present us some examples from Science View, or and we will close our workshop with Mrs. Rosa Doran presenting her part of the presentation regarding the next step project. So allow me just then to move on some thoughts concerning some examples on the things that you have already been presented. Okay, so allow me. Share my screen. Allow me a few moments. So, can you all see my screen? Please say yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, as you have already, we talked about the theoretical framework upon which our project is based, and we will continue that along with other things with Rosa. I would like to show you some examples on the approaches that we take towards this this roadmap. As an example, on the things that we are going to implement. Earlier, you heard Menela Sotiriou speaking about the competence-based framework upon which next step is based, and the four categories that we try to have as a compass in our approach. That this is the enabled part of schools that are initially in their initial stage of implementing STEM, consistent, that the schools are can have already achieved a certain level of STEM education, and integrated, where schools are achieved a high degree of STEM education, and the last category that we foresee is advanced schools that are considered rather extreme cases of schools that offers a glimpse to science, to STEM education. So allow me just to show you for the next 10 minutes or so an example on two of these categories. Maybe we will split that into after the coffee break. I will just show you two examples of these categories, one for the consistent category, and after the coffee break, an example on the integrated category. Personally, I consider every school that is going to be to participate in our project as an enabled status at least. So we can all have a certain access to some some ICT tools or even do some approaches that are around the official curriculum that we're supposed to teach in our schools. And so I consider every school that have a teacher that is interested in STEM approaches to be able to collaborate with us, at least as an enabled school. So allowed me to introduce you to an idea that is one of the approaches, one of the strategies that we would like to implement, and to show you that as an example. We are able to encourage our students in recording their environments. So using their mobile phones, depending on, of course, on the age group that we are approaching. Mainly, this refers to students that are from early high school and upper. So we can use technology that are already there, and that is smartphones. We can encourage students to record things from their environment, and we can use certain elements that are available on the internet that we can make them aware of their environment and start playing with the sounds that the environment produces, and by using ICT on that. So there is this application that is called Audacity, and is free for you to download. And it is an application that allows us to combine 2 or more recordings. In that approach, we can make a so-called soundscape, that is a combination of sounds that can be played together as tracks, so as to engage students in making a story. Approaches like that are already on the internet, as you may have also experienced. And many schools, even in Greece and other countries in Europe, are already being part of this approach. It is very interesting because we are allowing students to interact with their environment and show things that comes from their own way of understanding, interacting with their environment, and allow students to interact with their teachers as well. So I consider this as a very high interactive, even project-based activity that could allow and trigger discussion in the classroom concerning the environment and our approach towards it, and it can also include a lot of issues that are already there on the environmental awareness. So I think it's a great idea on that. A next step towards this, and maybe a strategy that is allows schools to move from one category to the other, for instance, from consistent to integrated category, would be to apply strategies that involve even more complex approaches on using sound and ICT technology to record sound and implement in their classes. So a term that is already there, and we could also invest in our future teaching, is called sonification. These are the three categories that I believe that are crucial on understanding sonification as a tool to just give you a small idea on what it is about sonification. Sonification is the approach in which we try to convert mathematical arithmetic data into sound in a logical, rational way based on a protocol that is defined between the one who makes the sonification approach and the receiver, which is the one who want to see the results or to hear the results in that case. So it's an approach in which we make we transfer arithmetic data of a scientific concept, and we convert them into sounds in a similar way that we do on a Cartesian field with X and Y axis, converting arithmetical data into a graph. We have already done this many years ago in the framework of another project by combining the 12-note musical scale with the known particles that are part of advanced approach in physics education, and we had a very successful happening based on this combination of these 12 elements. Another example on how to use this kind of approach would be to transfer graphs like that. For instance, they depict the population of certain species on the y-axis, on related to time on the x-axis, and we can make this kind of examples work in not only on a graph dimension, but also on sound. That's another dimension on understanding that. In order to do that, we use ICT applications such as the online sequencer, which is one of the applications that can work like that and are freely distributed on the internet. And we have already made examples like that, and if only I could have some more time after the break to show you. So there are a bunch of ICT educational tools that we can use and even encourage our students, mostly in the upper secondary ages, to be engaged in that kind of approach, because it gives us another perspective in how do we understand data coming from any kind of science resource. And here we can see there's also an ICT software that combines not only musical notation and audio into I mean the relation between musical notation and audio can also be represented graphically using an ICT approach that is called music animation. And here is a combination with another open source music notation software called MuseScore, where we see the idea of opposite charges that can be represented graphically in motifs. So I don't want to go on further right now because we need a few minutes break before we go on. I know that that might be a little dense for you to comprehend, but for 1 or 2 minutes, I would very much enjoy receiving your questions before we go to a small coffee break, not more than 4 minutes on that. So please feel free to ask some questions for the next 2 minutes.
Petros, I have maybe this can help get them started. So I've not done this with you very deeply engaged in organizing these activities in schools. But what if a physics teacher wants to dive into that, but there is no music teacher in the school, or the music teacher is not interested, or doesn't see a purpose in doing that, or doesn't understand? What is the approach that you would suggest?
Sonification is an approach that encourages the transformation of numerical data into sounds. So it doesn't have to involve a music teacher to combine that, but it will be very creative if there is a music teacher involved in the process. On the other hand, there are also numerous applications on the internet that can allow the manipulation of sound recordings in a way that students can amuse themselves by combining and playing with. But I would say that yes, when we are speaking about the arts, the optimal choice would be to collaborate with the specialized teacher. It's not easy to say that everything is magically solved as if we don't have a dedicated teacher to all this approach, but we can be encouraged to do so. A good question would be, how would be the opposite one? Are music teachers or art teachers allowed to touch or to invite their students to think more on scientific issues and introduce scientific ideas triggered by art? So this approach is the two sides, I think, of the same coin. But in terms of implementing artistic approaches on teaching sciences, the optimal approaches would be to encourage the communication with a dedicated teacher on that. But as I said earlier, when we're talking about simple elements that involve sound or vision, or even the simplest thing that is our body moving or our voice speaking, then we can engage students to motivate themselves in start thinking about all these elements, which is a good thing to start.
Thanks a lot, Petros. I think that was very useful.
Thanks a lot, Petros. I was wondering, can we change pictures into music?
This is a great idea. Yes, there are approaches like that, and we can think of things like that. Actually, this process is being analyzed through applications that are now are in the process of being developed. But allow me just to say one more thing before we go to coffee break, that the crucial element between teaching these approaches from the teacher to the student is to explain the protocol. And this can be done in very, very simple ways. For instance, when we draw a line from a certain point to another going up, as we do see on a graph on XY axis, then this approach is very easy to explain on a 16-year-old student. So the protocol is X is time and Y is speech. So when I draw something on my graph, then this graph suddenly becomes meaningful in terms of sound. So this is a very easy image to analyze and turn to sound. And I will show you after the coffee break how this can be done. But if we are talking about advanced analysis, then yes, there are also applications that analyze even full pictures, like the pictures we take from a phone. But as I said earlier, it's very crucial to explain the protocol. What is happening that relates sound with vision? And this lies to the teacher responsibility.
It's so interesting. I was actually asking about photos because I'm a primary school teacher. My students are 6 years old now, and I thought that's the easy way or the easy part of it. Intriguing, but I have to see how I can adapt this to a primary school.
That's very interesting.
Scenario.
Allow me to show you a scenario after our coffee break, and I will show you a way how to do that. So allow us maybe 4 minutes very strictly, and we'll be back. We'll be back then.
Great.
We will not close, Petros. We will stay.
No, we don't. We stay online, of course.
Yeah.
We don't close. We're just having a 4-minute break strictly. Thank you. So here we are back again. Allow me to just answer to the question by giving you just in a few minutes an overview of an integrated strategy that could allow the involvement of advanced projects. So let me go back to my presentation. I hope that you can see my presentation now. So to answer to Bianca's question, as we said earlier, we are trying to combine deeper learning aspects with the competencies that we have already presented. So we are trying to combine these elements using ICT tools. One of them is iMusica, and I will show you in a brief just a few lines, a few examples on how could you use things to turn image into sound. So iMusica is a very advanced platform that could lead from integrated strategy to the advanced. It involves the 3D manipulation of instruments, musical instrument models, and of course the analysis of sound. Now, one of the tools that can be used is this one that I'm going to show you right now. Allow me to share my screen again. So can you see my screen? So
yes,
just to answer Rosa's question. So I hope that you listen to my computer. I just draw a line. The concept of converting X and Y Cartesian field into sound is not new, of course. The first implementation is coming even from the mid-war times, but it was very advanced, explained by Yannis Xenakis with his UPIC implementation scheme. So this is a very good approach to start thinking on how can we make pictures and transforming them into sound, and will trigger discussion about the relation between time and pitch. Just only a few to conclude my idea on that. I hope that you can see my presentation again.
No, we see the sound.
Okay, let me share my presentation for the last time. So we can speak very deeply in working with complex elements like the harmonic column, and have an explanation on how can we do that. Certainly, we have already done that a few maybe more than 1 year ago, involving the interaction of musical instruments that we build ourselves using a 3D printer, to accompany the melody of the Sikilos epitaph. Sikilos epitaph is an epigram that is put on the tomb of Sikilos, who was a young boy, died in Tralis in Asia Minor on 200 BC. So this is the melody of the code on the Sikilos stele that is transformed into a melody. We transformed this into a melody, and I recorded that in my flute. You can see the verses, the two verses of this poem, which is, "While you live, shine, have no grief at all. Life exists only for a short while, and time demands its toll." We tried to accompany this by making 3D printed wind instruments that obey the rules of acoustics in order to accompany this melody. And this is an example on how we did this. It's less than half a minute. So allow me just to show you, and I will conclude my presentation.
We are not seeing anything, Petros.
Okay, once more. Are you listening now?
No, I think you're still sharing. Yes, yes.
So, this is an example of students playing a replica of a wind instrument, but the length of this instrument is defined by the laws of acoustics in order to accompany this melody. I could speak for this many hours, so I just put a full stop here, but I will be very glad to communicate with you if you are interested in developing all this. So that was the examples that I showed that can be implemented to help schools advance from one category to another. It is not an exhaustive way, and of course we need your suggestions on how to do that. So that's for me, and the floor now is to Rosa. Thank you.
Thank you, Petros. Very inspiring, as always. And I think you could speak for hours, and we could listen to you for hours. But maybe in the summer school we'll have this opportunity,
of course,
and also be toasted with some of your music
Rosa,
playing.
Thank you so much. It was a mistake for me not to mention Menelaos speaking about the learning science through theater approach. Allow him just a few minutes just to present the ideas, and then the floor is yours up to the end of our workshop. Thank you.
Well, actually, one or 2 minutes, no more, because I want to see Rosa's let's say practical workshop. Just to let you know about an initiative that we are running now for 8 years in Greece, but in other countries, mainly in Greece, that is named Learning Science Through Theater, where schools are participating in order to create a theatrical performance, either live or they could make a video of the performance and participate in, let's say, in this initiative It is running every year in Greece. It is started already for this year. Last year, we had special issues concerning the closing of the schools, but still we had almost 20 teams participating from several parts of Greece, sending their videos and participating. And they are, let's say, awarded at the end of this procedure. Usually, they start in October and they are presenting their work in early April. This is also for this year. And as you can see in this slide, students and teachers are going through several activities, not only concentrated, let's say, to pure theatrical let's say, plays, but they are taking activities like creating videos, creating the costumes, creating the scenery. So they are expanding their creativity in order to try to approach a scientific notion. That I would like to note that this scientific notion is coming from their curriculum. So they are trying to present this in a theatrical approach, in a theatrical play, by taking all these, let's say, steps, splitting groups, and then connect all the dots, I could say, in order to present it. At the same time, they are trying to approach external stakeholders, either for their support or to disseminate what they are doing, not only in the school. So they could approach local authorities in order to support them with several ways, provide them spaces, provide them material. They could approach research institutions in order to get deeper into these scientific notions and discuss with the researchers how they are really conducting their research in this field. And then, of course, dissemination activities in order to promote their play and attract, let's say, the audience. And just one more thing is crucial for us, because we have made a short research about a sample that it is almost the half of the students that they have participated all over these years. We have seen that undertaking this kind of approaches, they have raised their motivation and interest concerning STEM. And you can see here a really good increase in the intrinsic motivation, also career motivation, self-determination, and so on. So this is for me. We could, you can contact me if you want more information. I could leave the website of this initiative that is going to be included, of course, in the next step. So you can contact us. The floor is yours, Rosa.
Okay, let's see what I can do with the half an hour that we have left. I have prepared a small presentation. Well, it's a presentation. It's a PowerPoint that actually, before anything else, I will share with you so that you can accompany me by already doing some of the tasks that I will be asking you to do. So it's the PowerPoint is loading in the chat, and you will be able to download it from the chat directly. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen. Can someone just confirm, please, that you can see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I'm sorry that there's some noise, background noise, but there's nothing I can do. So let's see if...
We can hear you clearly, Rosa.
Okay, very good. So the idea here is to see in practice how we can implement what Menelaus and Petros have been presenting to us. So I will start with showing to you this icon that Menelaus has created for the STEAM Idea Square. So what is the STEAM Idea Square? The STEAM Idea Square is basically anything that I want to have in the school or that you can have in the school. It can be, as Menelaus said, a physical space where you have all of your colleagues working together in creating an idea for a STEAM project for the students, or could be a virtual space where the students are collaborating, could be a virtual space where you are collaborating with your fellow colleagues. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be a Google Classroom, can be a Facebook group, can be any environment where you feel that you are motivated to be creative. And you can and should involve other stakeholders from your school community. So members of the local business area, industry, services providers, or if you have any creative industry, any museum, any theater, any dance school, I don't know, anything that is related to the arts, any research infrastructure, the parents, the families, the members of the community, you know, people that have shops around the school, and also public authorities. So the more people you have working in this, the merrier it is, because you contextualize the learning of the students and you make it meaningful to them, because school starts to approach their daily lives. So STEAM is much more than putting together science, technology, arts, engineering, mathematics. Is much more than that. STEAM, it's a new way, or actually it's not that new, of making learning contextualized, meaningful, and engaging, involving everyone. So the thing to have in mind is, how would you do it? So I would like you to open the PowerPoint that I have shared with you, and would like you to use this space to start writing some external partners that you would invite in your particular community. So if you teach, like Bianca said, students of 6 years old, who would be the external partners that would be relevant? Maybe invite nurses and doctors to inspire the kids. Maybe would be a piano teacher that you know is a mother of one of the students. Maybe there is a ballet classroom institute nearby. Maybe you do have a good relationship with the external authorities. Maybe there is industry in your region, and the students that you are training now will have the opportunity to work for that industry or services providers. So who from your community would you think of bringing on board to the next step adventure? And of course, this is not something that I want you to work on just for this workshop. I would like you to think that this might be something that will be useful if you become a partner for next step, and if you would be willing to go all the way. So you can start thinking about, what are the impediments? What are the obstacles that I have? How can I actually do it? Next, it's important to think that you need an environment to do that. So how would you build the environment? Do you have a physical space in your school where you can have some plants and some nice sitting areas, maybe some music, maybe a space where you share your breaks with your colleagues, an inspiring space where you can be creative and brainstorm. And during the summer school, we will for sure share with you many ideas for brainstorming in a creative and nice way, fun way. So which are the projects that we can organize for the students, that we deliver curriculum content, contextualize and work together in an horizontal and vertical articulation with your colleagues from your school and maybe from other schools. How you would do it and where you would do it. Equally important is if you would involve your student in this enterprise. So would you adventure asking your students to do the same? So if you give the floor to them and ask them, okay, we now need to have an adventure in the realm of science, of arts, music, technology, and all other subject domains if you want, how would you do it? Where would you do it? Maybe you can do a co-creation with them, which is something that is going to be really powerful. I'm thinking about a project that we had last year, where the teacher had to create such a project to the student. It was not related to art. Art just happened, as it happens always. So the students were from primary school, and they had to have a project to improve their competencies. So they said to the teacher, well, our school is a sad school. We would like to make it a happier school. And so I just thought of this example, so I don't have a picture to show to you, but if I have time before the end, I will share the picture of the school, how it is now. So they asked the teacher, can we have a project where we change the school to make it into a happier environment? And the teacher said, well, it depends on what you need. So the students started to brainstorm, and they invited the parents to come as well. And they thought, okay, we can just maybe paint all the walls of the school, all the buildings, into a more happy thing and have different environments of our community. Draw them on the walls. So they did a mock-up. They did an exercise of drawing in groups until they decided, okay, this is the drawing that I would like to have in the wall of my school. So all the students had a different space in the school where they could draw their vision of the school. And not only the school looked completely different in the end, but the students' self-confidence and self-awareness and the care that they have now for their school and the passion they have for the school and the willingness to go to school is something that the teachers could never imagine before. So maybe this is something that you should consider as an idea to explore with your students. So how do we do this? How do we benefit the community? I mean, how do we use STEAM not only to enrich and enhance the students' learning experience, but how do we use it to building a better future for them, for yourself, for your school, and for the community that your school is serving? So how do we do it? And for that, there is a space in the PowerPoint to put in your own STEAM idea. So think about an idea. If there is time, which I doubt there will be much time, you will work in groups here to create your own STEAM idea. If you don't have time here, which again I don't think we will have, you can take this PowerPoint to your school, sit down with your colleagues from the same age level or grade level, or maybe the same different disciplines and different age group, it doesn't matter. And you can create there your STEAM idea. What would be the project that you would do with them? And remember something that I keep telling the teachers. Don't think that by working with your colleagues and creating a learning experience that is centered on the student will make you waste your teaching time. Usually, although it might think that that's not a possibility, you will gain time by doing so, by using this methodology with your students. So I suggest here, for instance, a project-based learning approach where you will be working with your students. So how can a project be relevant to your community? You might think, okay, I see my school, I see my community, I see that the community is missing this, and I will build a project on this and that and that and that. That is an interesting approach, and usually we do that. Well, I see that the streets are dirty, and my project will be clean the streets. But in fact, if you really want to change the future of your community, you have to do it the other way around. You have to understand what your community wants, what your students are willing to do, and then you can transform it into something that is your idea. So design thinking, many of you I know the methodology, is the methodology that helps you understand what is it that your students want, what is it that they know about the topic, what is it that the community know about the topic, and how you can actually cause an impact. Because if you don't know why the streets are dirty, you cannot solve the problem. You might think you know, but if it's not something that is part of your daily reality, but somebody else's reality, then you need to do this methodology. And I tell you, the methodology is very nice for everything. Imagine that I am an owner of an industry, and I want to create new cups, okay? And I draw them and I produce them, and I say, well, the color is fantastic, everybody will love it, the material is unique, and actually I don't have to put any illustration here, it will sell. And I don't do any design thinking to see if actually the public, my audience, will like it, will understand my concept, and will enjoy having a cup like this. They might say, well, actually, I don't like the color, and I prefer something more festive. And actually, if I put something hot in it, it will burn my hand. So I didn't do design thinking, and I will go bankrupt because I don't have the proper product. The same goes for education. I think the students in the community are learning, and we are changing their view, but in fact, we are not. So design thinking is the methodology that you need to use. So what are the necessary changes? Who will benefit from your project? How they will feel about it? What do you know about this topic, and what do they know about the topic? And when I say they, it means you can work with the students, and the students can work with the community, for instance. So you do design thinking with your students, and they do design thinking with the community. And there's no age to learn how to do this. Any student from any age can do this. So the second step is, after you collect your ideas, you have to put your creativity, your critical thinking to work, and imagine how you will accommodate the views of everyone, the views and the needs of the target audience. Both are very important. And of course, there is no limit to your imagination. And this is your STEAM idea square. This is where you work with your colleagues, you work with the students to imagine how can you solve the problem. Maybe you create an awareness campaign. Maybe you have to involve those that are making the street dirty and ask them what would they appreciate more, and why do they do that, and create awareness to them and involve them in the process of changing the situation. So this is what you do in the idea square. After that, you build whatever your idea was, and you see if it works. If it doesn't work, you go back again, you do it again, and if it works, you just go to the next step, and you share with everyone what you've done. Not only the result, but also why you did it, how you did it, and how you accomplished to have all the results that you were expecting. So this is a small experience on the realms of design thinking, of course, what I have described it to you. The whole thing is, well, can be more simple or more complicated. It depends on what you want to do. And the last thing that you need, well, not the last, it's one thing that you need to consider that's very important is, and this I took from Menelao's presentation, and it's not by all means not a complete list of 21st century skills, not at all completely. It has just a few of the competencies that you might want to explore with your student. And this is maybe, this slide maybe should go to the beginning, because you should consider it before you draw your experiment. For instance, if I want to improve the citizenship competence of my students, I have to have a project that is related to citizenship awareness. If I want to improve their competence, their digital competence profile, I need to make sure that I involve them in some digital experience. If I want to improve their multilingual competence, I need to make sure that I provide opportunities for them to speak or be interacting with people with other mother tongue languages, etc. So you cannot try to improve a competence if you don't build your lesson thinking about the competence or the competencies that you want to improve. And also, you need to consider how you want to measure them. Okay, so these are just reminders of things when you are designing your instruction that you have to take into account. And also maybe you want to have another list, which is the topics of the curriculum that you want to address. So it's like cooking a meal. This is your recipe. This is the ingredients that I need. And then you cook your meal with those ingredients. And of course, this is going to be your idea square as Menelaus presented. And okay, I'm going to stop sharing. This is just again the slides from Menelaus, and he already told you about the future training events that we are going to have. Here is my contact, which you have in the presentation. So I will stop sharing. I'm afraid that we only have kind of 10 minutes left, so there is no. It doesn't make any sense to break. The idea was to put you in different rooms and you could discuss this. So actually, we use this to do a joint exercise here. I will go back in my presentation. And I will start with you to, let's go back to the very beginning. We will do this together. So can you write down in the chat who would be the external partners that you would invite to your experiment if you were to do this next step challenge in your school? Who would be the partners that you would bring on board? And I asked my colleagues Petros and Menelaus to help me. Actually, I will stop the presentation mode so I can write down. Wait, sorry about this. Okay, so I can write down here. Let me do it like this, and I can create my own idea here. I will make it a little bit bigger. This one can be really small. Okay, and I need to open the chat so I can see what you guys write. Okay, actors from Merlin's Puppet Theater. Very good idea.
Rosa, can I ask this? Does this have to be on our physical community or?
No. It can be anyone you want. You can invite Petros to play music to your students. It can be exactly. anyone. Oh, that's right. You said in your community. Well, our community can be a global community, right? Okay, anybody else? Maybe I should change this. I will put here some internal partners. How about that? Would that make your life a little bit easier? A role model. Okay. Somebody that could inspire the students. Great idea, Vasiliki. A local theatrical group. Okay. Remember, we are doing STEAM here, not only art. So maybe you need to consider also some scientists, engineers, mathematicians, some other relevant domains, from some other relevant domains. Let's give one more minute for this specific slide. Oh, art is the most difficult part for you. Okay, so then this is the project for you, Georgia, because it's something that you will understand. You will see that putting art up front of this team practice, starting from the arts, you captivate the students and you create a very different environment. I tell you what, in astronomy, the way to make people understand what your research is, you start with an artistic view of the object that you are studying. So art is really very important. Sound researcher from a famous music technological institute. Okay. Oops, I didn't copy that. Let me try again. Copy. Okay. Ah, Greenpeace representative. Very good idea. Very good idea. A writer and a painter. Okay. Okay. Well, let's go. So you are getting the sense of what you need to do, but you don't do it alone. You do it with your colleagues, and you do it with the students preferably, or you have them brainstorm. You brainstorm with your colleagues, and then you make the cake. You bake the cake. So let's start with where. Where would you build such a STEAM idea square? Would you have space in your school? Let me just write down here. Okay, but George, in your school, okay, in a physical infrastructure, you have such an infrastructure in your school. Facility would do it, online. Okay. Ah, in the school amphitheater, but the school amphitheater, could you use often and repeatedly? The school library, okay. It's not just a brainstorming, it's to have this square idea. Okay, in a forest. Oh, wow, that's a very nice idea. Okay, okay. And how could you do it? Would you be able to convince your headmasters to have such a space? How would you start it? How would you involve all the stakeholders? How would you initiate this effort in your school? How would you communicate with them that you are willing to do this? You would send out a newsletter, you would put in social media. What would you do in order to convince your target audience to participate on that? Or you have emails of the students, or you have a WhatsApp group for the parents, or you have a WhatsApp group for the teachers. How would you initiate this effort? You would start, okay. You personal contact, okay. Put it here. And there was one here that I missed. Starting painting about climate change. Okay, this is how you would start it. Very good. Personal contact, maybe social media. I wrote that one. Bianca would do a Google Forms. Okay. Okay, children would initiate the effort. Okay, so we'll give the floor to the students. You would communicate, Facility would communicate through, okay, very good. I think we have very good examples here on how you get started on this. And this, of course, would be for your students, and you will give the floor to them. Now, I think the last thing that we can do, it's just think about your team idea. Would you write, which project would you create? If you were to create your STEAM idea, do you have anything in mind on how you would start having this science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics idea moving forward? Do you have any idea of a project that you could initiate in your school? Just the first thing that comes to your mind. A project that would, listening, I love that, listening to the stars. Okay. Another idea. So Bianca would have a project with the students, would propose a project with the students and the community about listening to the stars. Of course, your STEAM idea is related to the competencies, is related to the curricula, but is also related to the needs of the community. Remember that we're doing this in a few minutes. and you don't bake a cake in a few minutes. So you really need to think carefully about what you want to do with the students. So maybe the project is about climate change because you're worried that there's little awareness. Maybe your idea is about internet safety, or maybe the idea is about climate change, or maybe it's about light pollution. Menelaus, you're my best friend now. Maybe it's about, okay, let me say internet safety, maybe climate change awareness, maybe about fake news, which is something that is affecting everyone. Trying to explore roles of AI. Oh, that's a very good one. Of AI in life and education, demystifying and explaining the good and bad side of AI. Okay, that's a very good set of ideas. Of course, then you need to do some, okay, there's one more. Okay, let's write this one as well. A project about climate change and evolve theatrical elements and playing. Okay. Okay, I got you started. Great, great. I'm really glad to see that. Wind turbines in our lives, the good and the bad. Actually, you might want to see a project called In STEAM. You have a very nice exercise and awareness about renewable energies in there. So if you look for In STEAM, which is for, I'll put the link here in a moment. Okay, then of course you have to design think. Design thinking, it's the whole process. Okay, it's climate change. So what do the students know about climate change? What is the knowledge of the community about climate change and what you can do? So you do your feel, you go to your imagine, again, how you can bring awareness to them, and you materialize your project. So you see several steps, you already had several ideas, and I'm sure that when we are together here at the summer school or virtually in the conference, and you have the opportunity to actually work with each other and create your project, you will have the best one. So Menelaus, maybe we can give to them as a home assignment, prepare for the conference at the end of the year, and bring to us the projects that they will create, taking on board these ideas and telling us if this is a good way to go. So I will stop sharing. We have only 3 minutes left. And I would like to give the floor to you guys to tell us, what do you think, if you think this is the way to approach it, if you feel confident that you can use all these ingredients in your teaching. If you are completely lost, what kind of help do you need? So we would like to hear from you if everything that you heard, the framework, the examples, and this practical exercise, if this is something that makes sense and that you feel that you can use or not. Please let us know.
May I say that it's very useful to have a discussion, because even you can help many others that are probably be shy to ask. So take the advantage to discuss with us.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they're writing their ideas. Or you can just open your microphone and tell us.
Yes, please.
I see that in the chat, people are talking to each other, which is really great. If you work online with your students, you can use Zoom, and there is this breakout rooms facility where you can put the students in groups, working groups, and you can visit each group and discuss with them their ideas. So it seems that Beneta had a great idea. Let me see which one. Art project about climate change that involve theatrical elements and painting. Okay, everybody, Beneta, you win.
Yes, hello.
Everybody liked your idea.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Petros, Menelaus, we have 1 minute left with them. I don't know if you have final remarks. My final remarks are, please come back to us to participate in the conference and the summer school if you can, of course, to help us design a road that is easy for you to take.
You can also save the chat that also includes links to what have been presented earlier. And please visit our website as often as you can, because we are going to upload material there and news as well.
Also, for my final remark notes is that, of course, we will be very glad to have you in the conference between the 6th and 8th of December. We are going to organize a more detailed workshop about next step within the conference, so we might have the opportunity to start from your ideas if you are going to participate and work with them in much more detail, and maybe conclude with some aspects of the main project that someone could take. This will be very, very good. Of course, everyone is able to participate in the course in next summer. From our side, speaking about ScienceU and as a partner of the project, we will be able to support at least 2 teachers that we have not selected yet. So please be in touch through all the links that we have shared with you, and you will learn how you can submit your, let's say, application, if I can say it like that. In order to be selected, we can fully support 2 teachers from Greece, and start working, of course, with you. There were great ideas, even in half an hour. So I think that if we have more time, it will be much more, let's say, great initiatives that could start with this.
That's true.
And of course, do not forget, for those that are interested in more about music, like Petros, of course, is. We are presenting colleagues of ours, and as we are presenting in the 20th of November, the premiere of the Global Science Opera, a very relevant initiative to what we are doing, where students from schools all over the world are presenting their work in a certain theme for this year, and we have started already the next, let's say, theme of next year's Global Science Opera. This is the link that Petros shared with you, and you can find all the information there.
So, is there for the final question for this session in order to close? Please feel free to share with us. Well, thank you, Evangelia. Thank you all. thank you all for being here with us. We hope we will communicate with you during the lifetime of the next step project, and looking forward to have you on board. So thank you all. It was very nice being here with you. Let's keep up.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye.